Hello, hello. For folks who have not seen me before, my name is Chris Good. We're going to be joined today by Amaya. I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Hey everybody, my name is Amaya Deshmukh. I work as head of marketing at EverWorker, and we are really excited to show you V2 of our platform today, as well as walk you through some of the marketing AI workers that I've built personally and that we're using.
Sweet. So we'll get started here. Let's kick things off first with the agenda, and I'm going to move my screens around a second. All right, so in the next 30, 45 minutes, we're going to introduce EverWorker V2. We're going to then go into a demo. We'll talk about how to approach applying or employing AI workers into your business. We'll briefly cover our free certification course, and then we'll leave some time at the end for QA. Now, let's get started here. So, starting from the top, AI workers aren't just tools, right? They're business force multipliers. And according to Forrester, intelligent automation can generate 330% ROI over 3 years, right? But only if it's, or when, and if it's done right. And here's what we know from that research, that 90% of those respondents say that manual and repetitive IT tasks contribute to low morale and attrition in their organization. And IT teams spend more than 5 hours per week on these repetitive requests, right? And AI workers aren't just a tool, right? It's a new capability that's going to scale your team and amplify their expertise and turn operational bottlenecks into sources of competitive differentiation. So when you elevate your business by transforming these time-consuming, repetitive tasks into strategic advantages, you're not just improving efficiency, you're fundamentally changing your competitive position. Now, let's be clear here on what we mean by an AI workforce, because we're going to mention that a lot today. Think of your entire company. Pick any function. In this case, let's look at marketing, for example. Imagine your marketing organizational chart with all of its roles and responsibilities. An AI workforce layers directly onto this structure, right? Augmenting the capacity and capability of an entire business function, right? And this isn't about replacing people. This is about giving every role in your organization an AI assistant that works 24/7, never forgets training, and scales instantly when you need more capacity. Right. So this marketing universal worker you see here can orchestrate the specialized workers for content creation, social media management, email marketing, marketing research, and event marketing. And each one operates like a highly trained employee in that specific domain, but they all work together as a coordinated team. Now, before we get into what works, let's understand why most AI initiatives fail. And according to RAND research, right, more than 80% of AI projects fail, wasting billions of dollars, right? This is twice the regular failure rate of normal IT projects. And why? Is because all three traditional approaches treat AI workforce creation as a technical problem to be solved by technical people, when it's actually a business process problem that requires business expertise. So the first approach is that internal IT and engineering teams, it takes months of development, right? And it results in AI workers that fail in proof of concept because IT doesn't understand the business processes well enough to build effective solutions. The second approach is external AI consulting. It costs millions. You're locked into dependency on providers who failed to deliver working solutions. It's expensive, it's slow, and it's ultimately unsuccessful. And then the third approach that fails is these vertical specific pre-built solutions, right? Not customized to your unique business processes, systems, or knowledge. You get something that works on paper, but fails in reality. So the fundamental problem here is that all three approaches treat AI workforce creation as a technical problem to be solved by technical people. Again, when it is a business problem that is meant to be solved and requires business expertise. So this is why EverWorker takes a completely different approach and angle. We make it easier than ever before to employ AI workers through 3 core capabilities. And the first is that there's no engineering required, right? You create an AI agents without any coding, modeling, or engineering of any kind. The only language that you need to know is English. If you can describe the task, you can create the worker. The second is that it's AI tailored to your business, right? We provide connections to all of your business applications and a deep understanding of your data, which enables AI workers to perform like fully trained, seasoned employees who understand your specific business context. And then the third is this expertise built in, right? Our experts support you with professional services and training, guiding you from initial strategy through employing these AI workers across a variety of business tasks. So EverWorker really delivers the fastest time to market and the lowest cost to employ AI workers, designed to ensure the highest ROI of any provider in the market. Now, I promise one more slide here, and then we're going to be a few more, and then we'll be getting to the demo. But EverWorker really gives you the easiest path with the best ROI and the fastest time to market because we rest on 3 core principles. The first is that the people who know the work must create the AI workers. AI strategy dies when it gets lost in IT translation. So domain experts who understand the nuances, the edge cases, and business first requirements or business requirements must be empowered to create their own solutions. The second is companies who become AI first. As an entire organization will seize and acquire market share rapidly. They'll outcompete your entire competition with unlimited capacity and capability, right? And this isn't about individual tools. It's about an organizational transformation. And the third is that the AI workforce isn't a technical problem to solve, right? It's a business problem. And business people are best equipped to solve this because they understand the work, the outcomes, and the requirements better than any technical team. So to make this very concrete, when your marketing director who lives in customer campaigns daily creates the workers themselves, the quality and the relevance transforms completely. It's night and day difference. They know the edge cases, the patterns, and the customer nuances that make the automation really work. And the result is that these AI workers operate like your best employees because they're created by the people who train your best employees. They never forget a lesson learned. They work 24/7 and they do it without burnout. And they scale instantly when you need more capacity. And this is the difference between automation that works and automation theater that wastes money. So before we get to the demo, one last slide and 4 little pieces to look out for as Amaya takes you through here, V2. We've delivered 4 major breakthroughs that make AI worker creation faster, easier, and more powerful than ever before. The first is EverWorker Creator. Our new creator creates, tests, and employs AI workers for you. You just describe the work, and it handles all the technical complexity. The second is our universal workers, right? These function as department heads who orchestrate specialized workers. And the creation of this now is much more intuitive and much more advanced, right? And they operate with the intelligence of your most experienced managers, but with 24/7 availability and a perfect memory. The third is universal connector, right? You're able to upload an open API spec file, right, for any system, and universal connector automatically builds out every possible action for that integration. So forget manual endpoint configuration or bringing in IT and engineering. Those days are over. And the fourth is our new UI, really focus on business processes and outcomes without the technical complexity. It's a very intuitive platform and very intuitive workflows that mirror how you folks actually think. But It's enough of me talking. We will shift gears here over to Amaya for the demo.
Thanks, Chris. Alrighty. Oh, that's not a very good view. Okay, let's go there. So this is the EverWorker V2 platform UI. Pretty straightforward. So right now I am in Universal Worker Creation. And this is really where we recommend you start. And the reason for that is creating Universal Worker is very similar to onboarding an employee or documenting a business process thoroughly. You really want to start by thinking about what it is you're trying to do with an AI worker and how you would instruct someone that has all the skills to do it, but doesn't exactly know how you want it done to do that specific task. So, for example, let's take a look at one of the AI workers that I'm using today, which is the LinkedIn ad copywriter. So to get here, all I had to do was click the edit button. And now I'm in worker profile. Now, this is just so anyone on your team that engages or interacts with this worker knows what it does and knows what to come for. Now, from worker profile, you go to knowledge, and I've added web search as one of its abilities, as well as a memory that I created called Product Launch V2, which has every single article and positioning and messaging document that we created for the latest launch of EverWorker. From there, you go on to define its brain. So here I'm using OpenAI's GPT-5 model. And really where the magic all happens with universal workers at first is in these sections here. So think of role and objective like a job description, really. So you're filling a spot on your team with an AI worker instead of human headcount. So what is the job that this AI worker is going to do, and what's the objective of the role? So here, this is a LinkedIn advertising copywriter, and its mission or objective is to create video ads, lead gen form ads, and single image ads that stop the scroll and compel immediate business action. And I'm telling it to channel the principles of direct response copywriting legends while adapting for LinkedIn's unique professional environment. And you can do stuff like this with an LLM because it has so much inherent knowledge built into it already, but you don't want to just stop here. This is likely where you'd stop if you were doing a GPT prompt or something. From there, this is probably my favorite part of a universal worker. So the instructions. This is really where your business process documentation comes into play. So think about, if you're a marketer watching this, when you write LinkedIn ads, right? So you always start with who's the audience, who's the person I'm really writing this to. So I tell it numerically, step one, before you write any ad, understand like professional pain points of the persona. What do we all care about really? Time, money, or career advancement, right? Business objectives. What metrics or outcomes does this persona need to improve? Daily workflow friction. Where do they feel like they're wasting time or hitting roadblocks? Career aspirations. How do they want to be perceived or promoted? Industry challenges. Peer influences, decision-making processes, and professional language. So now you're forcing the AI worker to go and use its web research skill to really think about and create a full picture in its brain about who this ad is really going after and what different messaging or storytelling levers it might be able to pull to get them to click on the ad and write compelling copy. From there, the next step is I've given it platform-specific constraints. So with LinkedIn ads, you've got a 150 character headline limit. You've got a 300 character single image description limit, so on and so forth. And then I'm giving it some ideas about the mindset of a user when they're on LinkedIn, what it'll be competing with in the feed. And then I give it specific requirements dependent on the ad, right? So if I'm having this help me write a video ad, here is my general thought process or framework for a basic video ad. If I'm doing a lead gen form ad, if I'm doing a single image ad. And then from there, I'm going to give it specific psychological triggers, right? So these are really the things that people are on LinkedIn to get out of the platform. So we want to kind of align to those. And these are the things that create trust, right? These are the things that create urgency in an ad. Finally, the fifth instruction I give it is a couple of different copywriting formulas, right? Like professional problem solution, or peer success story, or industry insider, or competitive edge. Now, you could give it 100 different copywriting formulas if you wanted, because you can make the brain very robust. This is just a starting point. And then finally, for step 6, now it's written the ad, it's done the research, it's created it in the right format. It needs to pass quality control. So I'm having the AI, people call this LLM as a judge, but really you're just making sure the AI worker is checking its own work before it shares with you. So a bunch of questions that I would ask myself if I was writing a LinkedIn ad and evaluating it. I'm having the AI worker do it. Now, from here, because I'm using GPT-5, which is a powerful model, I don't provide reasoning instructions. If you're using a less powerful model, you would, but generally there's no reason to use a less powerful model, because even with GPT-5 being so expensive, the most expensive, quote unquote, each run of it is going to cost you maybe a cent. It's like $1 for 100,000 pages of output, and there isn't a single run of this that I've done that's even come close to that. So don't worry about how much token consumption you're going to do. You won't even notice it. From here, I'm doing output format. So you'll notice this is written a little bit differently. What I like to do is just go to any sort of LLM app and tell it to give me my output format in Markdown, and I just write it in plain English into the LLM app. But it's good to do this because in Markdown now the universal worker knows exactly how I want it to structure its output to me, right? So every time I want it to first start by giving me the strategy, who the target audiences are, the pain point, the value prop, the ad types, and the psychological trigger it's selected. From there, I want it to give me a section of creative elements. So 3 headline options and an explanation behind the strategic thinking for that headline, and body copy, as well as call to action, as well as why it thinks this call to action is compelling, visual direction for single image ads, and video direction for video ads. And then I want it to prove its work, right? Like I want to see what its thinking was around the different psychological triggers, as well as LinkedIn specific optimizations. And then finally, I want it to suggest a couple of different A/B testing opportunities. Examples, I typically don't need these when I use a powerful model, so I didn't fill these out. And final instructions, think of this as like underlying first principles that you wanted to always consider. So 1, it's always in a professional context, lead with business value, respect your audience, like David Ogilvy would say, your customer is your wife. Ask me for more details if you feel unclear, right? And then remember, this is like a final thing to always keep in mind. So really, it's that simple to create a AI worker brain. And as you can see down here, if I can move my video to the left, let's do that. As you can see down here, this brain is only using 1% of the tokens. So this is really just scratching the surface of how complicated a universal worker's brain can be. Now we go on into skills. So this is where it gets pretty interesting. So you've got specialized workers that you can add as skills. So for example, none of these I would necessarily add, but I might create a specialized worker that actually goes and via an API integration creates the ad once I approve it through working with this universal worker. That's my next step in the build process. But what I have added on is API connectors. So these are from our universal connector. So it's got my entire Microsoft Graph API, so all of my Microsoft documents and various things like that. It's got the OpenAI REST API and a real-time web search REST API as well. So it's going to be able to do research on its own. And here we are. So let's start chatting to this thing. And I'm going to tell it, So I've just written a new white paper on 15 customer support AI workers. And the white paper contains a blueprint for each AI worker. Also contains a mock-up of each AI worker in employment active in a customer support issue resolution conversation. I am targeting this white paper at heads of customer support, directors of customer support, VPs of customer support at companies with 100 million to 1 billion in revenue. So that's an example of a prompt, right? So for example, if you're working with a demand gen manager, you might tell them like, hey, here's the white paper. Here's the target audience. You know our ICP. Now go and create some ads for me. So one of the things you'll notice with universal workers is because they are so complex, it'll take anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes for it to really process and complete the task that I've given it. So let's wait for it to do that. And in the meantime, go look at a different one. So here we've got the SEO article generator. This is another AI worker I use. You'll notice similar knowledge built into it. And the brain, similar thing, but this time it's all about SEO article writing guidance, right? So really complicated 6-step thing here. And then output format, SEO optimized, different sections, metadata, so on and so forth, and a summary, right? So let's go take a look at its output. So here, I told it to generate a comprehensive SEO article for the keyword AI agent for resume screening, targeting a VP of recruiting, VP of talent acquisition, director of recruiting, so on and so forth. Research the topic thoroughly, address all key questions and pain points, so on and so forth. And the article should be about 2,500 words and optimized to rank in the top 3 search results. So it went off and it actually just wrote this article for me. And if you've ever done any SEO content or SEO writing, you'll recognize this is actually pretty well built, quite good. And it's right in my word count. And you've literally done an SEO article in 3 minutes. Now, the next step here would be to integrate this with HubSpot, which is our CMS, and just let it publish the article on its own. So imagine just opening up at the start of your week on Monday, 10 different chats with the SEO article generator for each of your articles that you're meant to write for that week, letting it run, and then just reviewing them directly when they're published as drafts in HubSpot. All right, let's take a look and see if our LinkedIn ad copywriter has. Okay, not yet. Oh, there we go. All right, so it's given us our LinkedIn ad strategy. It's found out a pain point that's relevant. Here is my value prop. It's recommending a video ad. And here we have our headline options. Here we have our description and body copy. And here we have visual direction for a video ad, as well as a breakdown on professional psychology, as well as LinkedIn specific optimizations. Now it's also showing another strategy for a lead gen format type. Similar structure here. You see you've got your 3 headlines, your description copy, and we're also getting a LinkedIn ad strategy for a single image ad. So again, you've got your 3 headlines, your body copy, and your visual direction. So you can see how within a couple of minutes, we've just created an entire ad strategy, multimedia, as well as copy and visual direction that we can then hand off to a designer or a video creator to go and launch a LinkedIn campaign for a new white paper. Now, Normally, this would have taken a demand gen manager coordinating with a content marketing person and then a copywriter. And it might have taken a bit longer than a few minutes, right? Probably taken a week for slower teams, or like 7 to 8 hours for faster teams that work more in tandem with each other. But imagine being able to do this at this speed, the amount of output that you could get out of your team, as well as the amount of testing you could do, and the amount of personalization that you could do of all of your creative. Think about what impact that would have on your pipeline, your lead flow, your brand awareness. Everything's up and to the right, right? So that's the LinkedIn ad copywriter. And we'll go ahead and stop there for universal workers. What I wanted to show you next is specialized worker creation. So for that, I think what's interesting to do is let's switch our tax here and go to a customer support use case. So here I've got what I call a blueprint for a subscription management AI worker, right? So I've mapped out its exact use case, its user input, various knowledge sources it needs, its node structure, and then integrations. So now I'm going to go and take this to EverWorker Creator. I'm literally just going to paste this into here. Now what Creator is going to do is it's going to read through what I want. It's going to confirm my intent with me, and then it is going to propose a plan to build out this specialized AI worker that will be able to handle subscription management. And you'll see it actually build the nodes in real time. Okay, so here's its capabilities, planned workflow outline, abstract nodes for now, API integrations later. Okay, let's answer its questions. So I use Stripe for subscription management. I also use it as my payment processor and billing system. Use an LLM to generate retention offer rules and the logic that are sensible. Notification and email. Allow the user to upload files as well as text. Now, I haven't actually connected Stripe via Universal Connector because I don't actually sell any e-commerce products. So for this demo, it'll just build a placeholder mock API node. But if you were actually doing this, you'd have integrated Stripe via Universal Connector, and it would just know that the integration was there, and it would build out that specific node inside Stripe. So now here we've got our input node. We've got our account lookup node, plan comparison node. Again, here it's using dummy data from an LLM. In the real world context, you'd give it actual plan knowledge and details through the knowledge section. Then it's going to calculate changes via billing. It's going to generate a retention offer. It's going to modify the subscription, adjust the billing, and send an email notification. So here is the build plan. Okay, this looks good. The first 3 nodes are now scaffolded. Always use the user email to identify the user. Proceed with building the rest of the workflow. give it a little bit of time here. And while it's doing that, let's go ahead and see what it has built so far. Okay, here's the starting point, user request and input. Then it's going to go and look up a Stripe account. And now we have the rest of the nodes. Okay. So then it's going to retrieve current subscriptions, calculate proration, get a retention offer, process subscription modification, make a billing adjustment, email notification, and output node. All right, we've got a fully scaffolded AI worker here now. And you'll notice that I did not need to know anything about the Stripe API, nor did I need to know anything about coding or AI workers in order to create this. All I had to do was describe my business process and how it should operate, and EverWorker did the rest of the heavy lifting. And there you have it. So we'll go ahead and end there. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you all next time on EverWorker Live.
Simply describe what you need, and Creator collaborates with you to understand every detail. No technical knowledge required. If you know the work, you can create the worker. Watch as Creator builds your AI worker in real time, configuring data sources, setting up analysis engines, and creating integrations. Your competitive intelligence specialist is now working around the clock, delivering insights your team needs to stay ahead. Now your team can get instant competitive intelligence whenever they need it. Ready to create your AI workforce?